I will try not to mess up my
Okay.
words. Here we go.
I'll mute myself now then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody. It's great to have you here at DEMOFEST. Thank you everyone for joining us for From Theory to Practice, Best Practices to Grow as a Professional and to Build a Successful Pre-Sales Team with Amanda Bertucci. My name is Mark Green, and I'm the Director of Pre-Sales and Buyer Enablement at Consensus, and I will be your moderator for today's session. So I want to see lots of chat, lots of Q&A. DEMOFEST is presented by Consensus. Consensus is an intelligent demo automation software that helps scale pre-sales with interactive tours and video demos. You can learn more about at goconsensus.com or view the automated micro demo in the link in the Docs tab at the right of your screen. Consensus is proud to provide this event for free to all attendees. However, we would like you to go and visit and donate to our company's humanitarian organizations if you'd like to. You can learn more about this and donate by visiting the DEMOFEST Gives Back booth in our virtual expo hall in the Booths tab or at the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We also invite you to join us in our DEMOFEST community on Discord. This is your community where you can connect with speakers, get exclusive access to content and events, and continue the conversation with attendees and people across the industry long after this DEMOFEST event has ended. You can join your community peers using the link, guess where? At the Docs tab on the right. We encourage you to participate in today's session. On the right-hand side of your console, you can see a few ways to engage with us throughout the session. The chat function will allow you to engage with us as well as other attendees. And throughout the session, you may see a few polls. We encourage you to participate as your feedback is very important to us. Our speaker will be taking questions from the audience at the end of the session, but we encourage you to ask questions at any time through the Q&A box. If at any time you are having technical difficulties, head to the gear icon at the bottom of your screen. And here you will see a help document to help troubleshoot common issues. And now, I would like to introduce our speaker. Amanda is a sales engineer at Virtuozzo, helping build, scale, and grow the pre-sales organization. Amanda has more than 15 years of pre-sales experience and has worked in several countries. She has led leadership roles and has been recognized for her achievements, elevating the service levels in teams she has led and been part of. Amanda is a DEI advocate and is passionate about mentoring and helping pre-sales professionals of any background grow in their roles. And with that, I will turn the rest of the time over to you, Amanda.
Thank you so much, Mark. So happy to be here. You guys have been looking forward to, being at DEMOFEST again for quite a long time. And it's an honor to be here with you all today. I want to share so much stuff with you. And I'm really happy to spend this hour with you now. So I want to encourage you all to, use the chat. I want you to participate. I don't want this to be like my monologue or anything like that. I want you to be there as well and help me with some with your opinions and your views on things too. What I'm going to show you, guys, is a collection of things that I've learned throughout this over 15 years of experience I've had in pre-sales. We see that there's a lot of information that is being generated from various sources, and it can be a little bit overwhelming trying to absorb everything that people are saying. There are so many different views and different perspectives on things. So I want to show you a little bit of what has worked for me as an individual contributor and also as a pre-sales leader. So I think that the audience for this is both individual contributors and leaders as well, because it's part of what brought me up to here. So I think that the first thing I want to talk to you about is the achievements I've had in this almost 20 years. I have more than 15 years of experience. It's definitely less than 20 because I've been in the IT industry for 22 years now. And I spent some of those years working with professional services and technical support. I was also a technical trainer, an instructor for some years. So I come from a very technical background, as a lot of us that started a long time ago have, right? But what I've achieved, putting these things into practice, was to win more deals, win them faster, and build better and more meaningful relationships with customers. That helped me elevate the service levels on the teams I've led and been part of. So the whole purpose of this presentation today is to show you a little bit of how you can get there, right? And what has worked for me. So this is our main goal today. In the beginning, some of you might remember, this is what we had in terms of pre-sales or sales engineering materials to study, right? The first role I had as a sales engineer, basically I was told, okay, you have technical knowledge, you also go along well with customers, we need you to go with the sales guys and do demos and show the technical features to the customers. So there wasn't a lot of information there. There wasn't any methodology, and we were all quite disconnected. So I definitely made so many mistakes along the way. And obviously the way that customers used to buy over 15 years ago until today, it has changed a lot, especially in the last few years. So now we do have a lot more information, right? And we do, sorry, just my camera is focusing on my face. I don't know why that's happening. It's going to be like that now. So where I was. So yeah, 15 years ago, this is what we had. I've made many mistakes, and I want to show you some of these mistakes that I used to make. So hour-long boring demos, that was, the basic I would do, like in the beginning, and working in unqualified opportunities. You're just dragged to a meeting. You don't know anything about it. Discovery who, it wasn't until like a few years ago that, I started putting more focus on discovery, because in my technical head, it was like discovery, it's not part of my job. It's the AE that should do that. They should, do the relationship with the customer. They should do the negotiation. I'm just there to be the technical person they're going to talk to, and it's going to show them the product. Lack of preparation, led me to visits by the demo devil. Some of you may know it's an ancient entity that comes to mess up your demo. So those errors you don't expect, the things that do not work, the demo devil is there to, make your life harder. And mysterious POCs, right? For me, like in my book, POCs have start date, end date, scope, and success criteria. But I think that a lot of us have found ourselves in POCs that had none of that. They're just mysterious POCs that just drag on forever. So I want to ask you guys in the chat there, just to make you a little bit more active. What is the one thing that you used to do that is bad and you don't do anymore? Let's see what comes up in the chats. See that you also started in AT, Mark. That's great. Feature dumping. Yeah. Feature dumping is a big one. Thunder clicks, live demos, harbor tours, say yes to POCs without decision criteria, joking, multiple clicks and tabs, the 5 minutes who you are at the start. And sometimes that 5 minutes who you are at the start, they can drag for like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's really bad. Tour of the tabs, retreating to my training background. Yeah, so you guys get what I mean, right? So we lose like the customer's interest. We don't focus on the customers. It becomes boring. It's dragging. It's feature by feature, and sometimes watching demos that are not very well planned or that are not very tailored. You just see that huge list of items in a menu, and you see the person going from feature to feature. And for me, I'm already anticipating that it's going to be really painful for me. So thank you guys for the for the responses there. It's great to see you active in the chat. So, how did I start expanding the knowledge and realizing the things I was doing wrong? Right. So, I realized a few years ago, I would say like 5 to 7 years ago, that my demos were very boring because I was getting bored, because I would do like the same demo over and over and over again and showing the same features and showing the same tabs. Because for me, I thought, well, these are our marquee features. And, this is what's going to be important for the customer, but without really listening to the customer. What seemed really cool for me wasn't really nice for them. So I started like trying to find ways that I would actually enjoy my demos more and my customers would enjoy my demos more. And that's when I started like doing discovery and getting more involved and building stronger relationships with my AEs. And that, really helped me start changing the way I was working. There was still wasn't like there wasn't too much information to feed from it. Some people were already starting to write about pre-sales and articles in the internet, some noise on LinkedIn. But I think that the big shift for me was 2020, when I got confined and connected. At that time, I was leading an inside pre-sales team. So we basically worked at an office, but we were already interacting with our customers remotely. So being confined wasn't such of a big change for us in regards to how we worked with our customers, but more in how we interacted as a team and leading that team. I was looking for ways to keep my team motivated, keep them, learning, keep them evolving. And I was already working with Consensus on a demo automation project for the company I was working at. So, there was a lot going on. And even though we were already used to doing like a lot of remote meetings, there were these customers we weren't used to talking that were coming to talk to us, and we had to adapt. And I think all of you probably went through a little bit of this experience. And that's when Consensus, invited me to an event, which was DEMOFEST 2020. And that blew my mind because that was the first time I saw so many sales engineers at the same place. And people were so active and exchanging ideas and so much information. And a lot of the answers I was looking for, like people were talking about the same challenges I was facing with my team. So that was amazing, blew my mind. And I saw that, that there are actually books out there that I can read. There's so much information that I can absorb. And right about the same time is when I found the Pre-Sales Collective, which is a community of pre-sales people from around the world. And again, it blew my mind, and I started getting connected to people and started building my little library, right? So suddenly, like, people are writing books about pre-sales. They are, recording webinars, they're recording videos, they're presenting content, they're recording podcasts. And, shout out to Mark on his podcasts as well. And most of all, I was connecting with people from all over the world that were mentoring me. And I was getting contacted by people that were asking my opinion about stuff. So this was a great exchange of information. And this actually really helped me open my mind to a lot of things. But at the same time, that can be, like I said in the beginning, very overwhelming, just because it's just too much information. So what I want to give to you is the path I took to achieve these goals, right? That's my treasure map. And maybe some of the tips that I'm going to give you are going to work for you, right? I will make some references. I don't mean to do name dripping, but it's going to happen. But I will share this presentation with you. If you want a copy of it just to have all the references, I'm happy to do so. But there's a lot of references and information for you here. So let's start from the beginning, building the foundation. So if you look at all these different sources, right, there are some common topics across all the different medium and all, different types of content and different writers and different content creators. And these, I think, are the building blocks for being a great SE, or, for leaders to pay attention and see where they can, improve their team and elevate their service levels. So let's look at them. First of all, is understanding the customer, product knowledge, communication and presentation skills, problem solving, the AE-SE relationship, and results-driven approach. So we're going to cover all of that. I could like spend all day long just talking about each one of them, but I don't want to overwhelm you either. So I'm just going to give you my view on those and some of the references that helped me get there. They're all important, but I want to start with the one that you're probably hearing a lot about in this journey on DEMOFEST, in these 2 days that the DEMOFEST has been happening. And if you look at, LinkedIn posts, if you look at the books, this is actually the most important thing, which is understanding your customer. The way that we sell is different, or the way that we engage with customers as SEs is different than we did 15, 20 years ago, right? So what are we looking for when we talk about understanding customers, right? We need to understand their needs. We need to identify their pain points. We need to focus on their business goals. And how do we do it? How do we get there? We need to know them. We need to research about them. We need to find other stakeholders in the organization, other decision makers, and ask effective questions. So there's a lot of concepts there. There's a lot of tools that you can use to achieve it. And I really wanted to talk about this first because it is the essence of everything else that we're going to do afterwards. So you start with understanding the customer, or, as Chris White would say, like in the 6 Habits of Highly Effective Sales Engineers, start with, the most important thing first, right? So I want to talk to you first about discovery, right? You're going to hear about discovery. You must have been hearing about discovery for some time now, but it really shifted the way that I work with customers, that I interact with customers, and the way that my team does as well, when we started giving more focus to discovery. So when I joined Virtuozzo, the team was actually still being built. And we would see these very highly technical people doing those feature by feature demos that would take 1 hour, 2 hours. And, with my manager, Paul Brunier, we started looking at it and saying, okay, so we need to shift this. We need to change this. We need to get the buy-in from sales leadership, and we need to start focusing more on discovery. And that was the first step to shift behavior within the sales engineering team. So within discovery, I usually say that discovery is like peeling an onion. You're going to start, with understanding, in a high level, the customer's pain points or their objectives. And then you're going to start digging into that. And I usually say that I do discovery all across the sales cycle, because the more you dig, the more you find out, right? So one example for you guys, Virtuozzo actually sells cloud infrastructure software. That's one of our flagship products. And usually customers come to us looking for a way to offer self-service portals for their customers to manage their public clouds, okay? So usually they come to us saying, I need a self-service panel. I could say, okay, yeah, we got it. I'm going to show you. Here it is. But I don't do that. What I do is ask them, okay, why do you need a self-service portal? How do you do it today? And very typically, the customer will come back to me and say, well, the system that I have today does not provide a self-service panel, and that causes my IT staff to have to perform, administration tasks that take a lot of their time. And then from there, you can expand the conversation, right? And say, well, how much does that cost you? Or what if I told you that a customer with a similar environment managed to reduce their operation costs by 40%? So, it is a conversation, and it is like, peeling those layers until you get to, where the customer is and where they want to be, right? But when you're doing that exercise to getting to know the customer, you should actually get to know the customer, get to know who the person you're talking to is. And I use, social media a lot to do that, and to actually know who the company is and the industry and all of that, more generic information, I've been relying a lot on AI tools. Because if I feed them the right information, source information about the customer, they're going to be able to collate that information for me and give me a nice summary of what that customer is about. So using AI, using social media, and finding out who the person is that I'm talking to, what is their profile, what's their experience, what's their role, right? And keep in mind that people are different. We're talking to another human being. People are never the same. There isn't like a one formula for this. So be mindful of the cultural differences. I work in a team that, I talk to customers from all over EMEA. So I could be talking to someone in Kenya now, and, in another hour, I could be talking to somebody in Finland. And there are different cultures, there are different behaviors, and we should be mindful about it, but we should be very careful not to make biased decisions, okay? There's a book called The Culture Map, and it talks about these different behaviors and the different way that people work, the different ways that people work in different regions of the world, and it's worth reading it. When I worked in Latin America, it was very interesting to see, for example, if I would go visit a customer in Colombia, they're usually, first of all, they start working very early. They're very friendly. You always have a cup of coffee with them, which can sometimes be a bad idea if you have too many meetings in the day. Don't have too much coffee. But it's usually a very, light atmosphere, very friendly atmosphere, and everybody's pretty much on the same level. But for example, when I visited customers in Chile, usually the meetings, they're very mindful about the start and end times. There is usually, you can very clearly see the hierarchy in the company, and it's a much more formal environment. And there's no right or wrong. They're just different cultures. It's different ways that people behave. And as an SE, you need to be able to navigate these different cultures. Consensus can also help. We at Virtuozzo have embraced consensus from the beginning, and it gives us very valuable information about what our customers are consuming about us, what they're interested to see, and who are the stakeholders that are involved in the process. Yeah. So that's about understanding the customer. I want to switch now to product knowledge, the second component of our map, let's say, of our treasure map. So when I started over 15 years ago, it was very important that sales engineers would have a very deep technical knowledge of the product. And my first role as an SE, and for many years after that, was in my area of expertise, which is IT infrastructure and data protection. And I did that I worked in that industry for more than 20 years. Just 18 months ago, I decided to switch to cloud services. And it's been great to learn a lot of new things. But it was very comfortable for me at the start to just be an SE on something that I was already an expert in. Right. But today, when we look at our role as sales engineers and the way that customers buy, product knowledge is still very relevant, but it's not the only thing you should have. So we need to build that knowledge, and that takes time. Right. I've been at Virtuozzo for about 18 months, but I started doing my first demos when I was 2 months in the role. But of course, I don't have all the detailed technical knowledge of the products, but I know how to talk to customers. I know how to do discovery. I know what are how the product works and how we could solve the customer's problems. And, luckily at Virtuozzo, we have a very strong technical background in terms of professional services. Product management is always helping us. We have cloud architects. So if something was too complex that I wouldn't have enough technical knowledge for it, I would just bring somebody that could help me from a technical perspective. But what is important is that I know how my product works, how it fits the customer's business needs, and how I can articulate these complex technical concepts into things that make sense to the customers. Because when you're talking to the customer, you're trying to speak their language, not, language, from different countries, but their language inside of their own business. So you need to be able to translate your product into what makes sense for them. So it's all about fitting the right product with the customer's needs. And I want to ask you on the chat, I see a lot of, messages there. I can't keep up, but I want to ask you there, how important it is in your organization that you have deep technical knowledge today. I'm very curious about that, because I see that, especially for IT infrastructure, cloud services, it's still very important, but for some other areas, it's changing, right? So let's see if we have something in the chat. How important it is for you guys to have deep technical knowledge. Very, says David. Thank you, David. Very. So it's very essential. Very, very, very. Still very important. Customers are more educated now and ask deep questions. That's very true. Essential. Yeah. So it's important that you know your product, that you study your product, but more than anything, that you're able to fit your product into the customer's needs. David is saying that interacting with engineering, PM, building integrations, good communication skills are so important too. And we're going to get to there next. Pretty important, but I think it's still okay not to know everything. I agree, Cliff. I think that product knowledge is built with time. The more you practice, the more experience you have with a product, the better you get at it. And it's really hard to learn everything at once when you're just on board. Yeah, we are part of the VO and QA processes. Yeah, and I mean, it's okay when you build that trust relationship with a customer. It's okay for you to say, well, I don't know the answer for that, but I'll look up that answer for you, or I'll bring somebody along that can explain that better than me. I can't be not humble and say I know everything, even though I've been so long in the industry. But for example, working at cloud services, it was a career shift for me, and I don't know everything about it, but I know who to ask. And your customer will understand if they ask you a question that is so complicated that you're going to have to, go back to them. You don't have to remember everything all the time, right? So we need to make sure that we make this more human, right? We are all humans, and sometimes we just don't remember the answer. Just a few more answers here. Super important. It's also one way our SEs gain trust quickly from our AEs. Very important area, and I'll touch on that again later on. On the large product, being very good generalist and knowledgeable on key features that matter the most is a differentiator between an SME and an SE. Completely agree, Serge. That's very right. Thanks, everybody, for your messages. So from there, I want to take to what Paul mentioned there in the chat: communication and presentation skills and problem solving. And this could be a session on itself. But I know that this slide is going to be super ugly, but I didn't want to leave out any important information. So we're going to go step by step. Some very important skills you need to have in regards to communication and presentation skills and problem solving, because that's when you're actually interacting with your customer. You're having the conversations with them. You're showing your product. You're doing a POC. You're doing a demo. You're doing a presentation. So active listening is essential. Building rapport with your customer, having empathy, building trust relationships, right? Creating a tailored solution, doing a tailored communication. There's one story I wanted to share with you guys. It happened very, very recently. I've been working in a project for quite some time now. It's a very complicated implementation. And the CTO of the company left, and the new CTO came in. So the AE I'm working with in this project, he approached me and he said, look, I need you to book 2.5 hours in your calendar to have a conversation with this new CTO. I'm going to do a 30-minute corporate overview. And then I would like you to do, to use the rest of the time, an hour and a half, to present two of our main products. And I was like, no, no, I will not do that. And he was like, okay, but what? Of course, I was nicer than that. But he was like, okay, tell me why you don't want to do that. And I told him, look, I prefer to take all the information that we already have from this customer, do a conversational session with the new CTO, make sure that we're aligned, that the objectives are still the same, and then present the tailored solution that we want to offer them. It doesn't make sense for me to do a feature by feature, hour and a half long session to a new CTO, because he's going to sleep like, halfway through it, and he's going to absorb like 10% of what's going on. So I think that it's also like part of our job, to kind of educate the AEs or show them a different way of doing things. I will not waste 2.5 hours of this guy's time to bore him with a feature by feature demo, right? I want to have a conversation with him. I want to listen to him, make sure we are aligned, and show a tailored solution, right? So to do all of these, we need, again, discovery. And that's actually going to help you deliver effective presentations and effective demos. If I'm going to use 2.5 hours of the CTO's time, I want to make sure that this time is useful, that he comes out of that meeting wanting to sign up the deal, right? That's what I want. It's in real life, not usually like that. It still takes some processes, but I want the customer to see the differentiators and the value in my product for them, right? So some tips on that. It's going to be a bit of a long list, but bear with me. Have the right equipment and the right tools. So this is very practical, guys. There's one episode, I'll mention Mark again, because on Two Pre-Sales in a Pod, they had an episode that they were discussing what are the gadgets that they use for, for their remote presentations and everything. And I highly recommend you hear that, you listen to that podcast, because they give you some tips of the type of microphone you should buy, the type of camera, the lighting that you should use, and all of that. And on that as well, I don't know, who was at Julie Hansen's presentation yesterday. I'm a big fan. She wrote a book called Look Me in the Eye, and it gives you a lot of tips about remote presentations, right? So where you should position yourself, how you should look at the camera. And for me, it's still a learning process. As you can see, I talk a lot with my hands. It's probably my Italian heritage, but it gives you a lot of tips to keep your customer engaged when you're talking to them on video. So I highly recommend these two sources of information. And if you're in the field, if you're doing like face-to-face meetings, make sure you still have the right tools. Make sure that you have your adapters for video connections. Make sure that you have a mobile connection, because you might need to show your demo in the cloud and you don't want to connect to your customer's Wi-Fi. So make sure that you're prepared when you get there, that you have your tools, that you have your backups, that you have everything that you need to make it work. Yeah. Tell stories. Storytelling is a big part of it. And I really like using storytelling when I do a method that, I learned from Peter Cohen. He wrote a book called Great Demo. And it is called Tell, Show, Tell. Sorry. Just, I'm a human too. So just choked. So Tell, Show, Tell. What is it about? You're going to talk about a feature in your demo. So first, you tell the customer what you're going to do. Why is that important for the customer? Then you show your feature, and then you summarize it. So you tell, show, tell. And on this tell part, I usually like telling stories. So, okay, I'm going to show you, going back to the example before, right? So I'll show you a little bit of the self-service portal, how that's going to help you, have a better use of your IT staff's time. So I go show the self-service portal, And then, okay, so this is how customer X managed to save, I don't know, 45% on costs for his IT staff. So, use tell, show, tell. But when you tell, don't just say, oh, I'm going to show you the self-service portal. Oh, this was the self-service portal. Make sure that that message that you're giving has a story behind it. We humans, we learn from stories, right? So make sure you use these methodologies or these techniques throughout your demo, and keep that conversation up with your customer. Again, it's not about you, it's about your customer's journey. Somebody said in one of the demo fests, I'm not going to remember who it was, but I remember I heard it at a demo fest, that a sales engineer is not like a tour guide. A sales engineer is like a Uber driver or taxi driver. It's the sales engineer. Our job is to take the customer from A to B. It's to take the customer from where they are now to where they want to be. It doesn't matter all the noise around it. We don't want to show them all the little details of the city's architecture. We just want to take them from point A to B. So it's not about you. It's not about your product. It's not about how beautiful your city is. It's about your customer's journey, right? From A to B. Start with the most important feature for your customer, right? That's what I did with you guys. I think that understanding the customer is the most important feature. When you do discovery and you know what the most important feature is, that's the one that you're going to show first. It doesn't matter if the feature you think is beautiful is the one that you consider the most important. Take your time, pause. Silence is not bad. For me, that's a little bit hard because, as you can see, I really like talking to the point that I choke myself. But take your time. Sometimes, and I actually exercised this yesterday because I was having a conversation with a customer and showing some things, and he was giving his feedback. And at some point, we were kind of wrapping up, and that was the time that somebody would try to fill the silence with a question, or does it make sense, or do you have any questions, and I just decided to stay quiet. It was like for 3 seconds, and the customer just said, okay, I got it now. I think we can work like this, like this, like that. So sometimes the customer just needs time to digest what you're just telling them. So stop, pause, let them think. And even though it might feel a little bit uncomfortable, just 3 seconds of silence can be enough time for your customer to understand what you were talking about and probably make a decision to move forward with you. Okay. Ask questions, keep up the conversation in the other hand, right? So don't make it a monologue about yourself. Make sure that you have this interaction with the customer. And enable your champion to do the internal selling with or for you. So consensus really helps me with that, because I do have these very short video demos that I usually give to the champion once we've done some interactions, and I tell the champion, look, you can use this demo to sell my product to your leadership when he's building they're building the business case, right? So use tools, use information to enable your champion to sell the product internally, right? A lot of these you're going to find in so many of the books, Technical Sales Mastering, Great Demo, The 6 Habits of Highly Effective Sales Engineers. I will give you a list of them, but you're going to find different ways of doing each of these things, and you will choose what works best for you. Yeah. So I want to go back to the chat and ask just one more time, what is the one thing you do that works best when you do a demo? I see that Mark is putting the references there. Thank you so much, Mark. The silence is often confusing. It depends, Sean, depends on the context. It can sometimes actually work. Show the best last thing first. That's important. And that actually works. Storytelling. Love using the tell, show, tell model. It is really good, Aaron. I really like it too. I use it a lot. Tell, show, tell, storytelling, shared experiences, adapting to the conversation flow to show what's relevant, get them to talk about themselves. Yes, definitely, Haley. That's a really important one. People love talking about themselves, right? I'm having the opportunity to spend an hour talking about myself. So get the customers to talk about themselves. Really enjoy stopping the screen share and looking straight down the camera and getting real with the situation, open, honest talk. This is great, Mark. This is great. Sometimes, when you're explaining something or you're telling a story, it's a very good idea to just stop sharing and have that conversation with the customer, because your screen is just going to create noise. That's a really good tip. Know when to stop sharing your screen. Stay on camera to listen. That's correct. Try to have, especially on video calls, you should have the less distractions you have, the better, right? Make it about the customer. It's not about you. It's not about your product. It's about the customer, what they're telling you about themselves. Thank you so much, guys. So this nice table full of nice people, these are obviously our best friends, the AEs. AESC relationship is essential, guys. There was a panel yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, about AESC relationship. If you haven't watched, I highly recommend you do when the recordings come out. And this is a topic that always comes back to DEMOFEST. I think I was in a panel about that 2 years ago. It is an essential relationship for various reasons. First of all, we have to work with them, but having a good relationship allows you to build a joint strategy, right? So this example that I gave you about an AE, and he's an excellent AE, by the way, and it's the person that I work with the most. Sometimes they're so caught up in the customer's requests that they forget the strategy, right? So having that trust relationship and having that openness to talk about the opportunity, to talk about the deal that, it's ours. It's not mine. It's not theirs. It's ours. We can then, maybe shift gears, or, we need to be able to trust each other. We need to hold ourselves accountable, and we need to, really be part of that team with them. The good things that this is going to bring to you, first of all, is the AE is going to want to work with you, which is great, right? So you're gonna have people requesting you to work with them. But also, when you're trying to elevate the sales engineering team to upper management, when you're not there yet, especially, or when you don't have a seat on the leadership table, sales can vouch for you, and they can help the rest of the organization understand what our role is, right? We had a lot of this challenge in the beginning at Virtuozzo, because a lot of people didn't really understand what sales engineering is all about, and having sales buying on the changes that you're implementing and having them vouch for you really helps implement these changes, and it helps you get a voice in the leadership team, right? So we have to nurture this relationship, and sometimes it's hard, but I think that once you have that alignment on a leadership level and people start seeing the results coming out. When I joined Virtuozzo, I faced a little bit of resistance from some salespeople that, didn't want to change the way they worked, but I asked them for a chance, to show how we could try to do things a little bit different. And when they saw the results with the deals that we started winning, and, the relationship we were building with the customers, that really helped, right? So very important, keep a good relationship with the AE and SE. And we're coming to the last step here. It's the results-driven approach. And that doesn't go only for leaders, okay? This goes for individual contributors as well. Why is this important? So what we're looking for, delivering measurable results for your customers. So you took your customer from A to B. What does that mean, right? Oh, it meant that we saved, again, the same example, 45% of operational costs with the IT staff. this is a great number to have. It's great data. Make sure that you can, set up these goals with your customers, what they're trying to achieve. Can we put it in a number? Can we measure it somehow? And from another side, it's achieving sales goals, right? In the end of the day, and I think Malcolm in the panel about the growing pre-sales in the down economy, I highly recommend. I think that Mark was actually moderating that one yesterday. He at some point he was very emphatic, saying we are part of the sales organization. So of course we have the sales target that we need to help them achieve, but we also as leaders, we should have other goals to motivate our teams and show how we can grow as professionals and as a team. And for us individual contributors, seeing how your contribution means like better deals, better results for the company, more revenue, we're growing the team, we're bringing new people in, the company is growing as a whole. That's really, really exciting. So some tips for that, guys: set clear goals and objectives for your customers, for your team, and as individuals as well. If you look up on Google, you're going to see there are like thousands of metrics that you can use. Now, thousands might be a bit too much, but there's so many metrics that you can use, and you can adjust to your reality, to your industry, to your company, right? Track progress. That's really important. If you're a leader, share those results with your team. Not only like individual contributor results or team results, but also, share some data about, nice results we got from customers, what impact our product had for, customers that we worked, because then we can all learn from each other. And this gets recycled, right? We make adjustments. We improve as we go. We set up a goal, we achieve it, then we revise it, we see how we can get better or what else we need to transform. Things are never static. Things always change, right? And we hopefully change for the better. We change for growth. I can recommend the Technical Sales Manager Handbook by John Kerr. That's a very good book for leaders, especially for starting as a pre-sales leader. It's going to give you a lot of good insights as well. So, guys, I just want to show you what an engagement with me looks like, as an individual contributor. When I get involved in a deal or I get engaged in an opportunity, what I will do is, first of all, review the qualification information. And this is, actually putting all of this in practice. Yeah. So review the qualification information. Then I'm going to research about the customer. And if I fail to mention, please do read The Social Sales Engineer by Patrick Pisang. It's a really, really great book. Look up the customer on social media, understand how they went through the marketing funnel, research about the company, the industry, make sure that you have a good understanding so you can ask the right questions when you do your initial discovery. And discovery doesn't stop there. I keep doing discovery as I interact with the customer, right? If I do a demo, it's going to be tailored. If I do a proof of value or a proof of concept, I have processes for that. I don't go in a POC blindly, right? I know information about the customer. We have start and end date, success criteria, scope. It has to have a purpose. Follow up in time, because that helps you not only with your customer, but it helps your relationship with the AE as well, because it shows that you're keeping up with the deals. It's not like you did a demo and you disappeared. And very important as well, log your activities, generate data for tracking. So if your company doesn't do that yet, suggest them to do so. Where to find nice stuff. This is, I'm not going to read through all of it, but I just wanted to give you some lists of sources that you can look at, right? So Consensus, Discord, everybody's there. Real-time chat. Let's keep in touch there. LinkedIn. There's so many people like creating such awesome content. There's so much content there, and I would highly recommend you take a look at that. Look for a community like the Pre-Sales Collective. There are some regional communities, there are global communities. Find the one that works best for you. listen to podcasts. I mentioned Two Presales in the Pod. Burning Presales is another one that has been very nice. So, look for podcasts, consume the kind of content if you like. Check out the DemoFest recordings from previous years. There's so much information too, and some really nice sessions. And if you don't know the map that's called the Kingdom of Sales Engineering, it basically references everyone you need to know in the sales engineering industry. So it's a really good reference as well. Some books that I talked about here, I'm not going to read it all, but you're going to have the presentation and you can look them up. Some of these people that are here are actually presenting at DemoFest. So, make sure not only you read their books, but have a chat with them. You're definitely going to have some really insightful conversations. Collect your treasure, right? And start again. It's a never-ending exercise. You should always try to recycle yourself, learn new things. And, this industry is always changing. The changes we've had in the last 5 years have been, immense. So, we need to keep reinventing ourselves. And I think that's the beauty about our industry, right? Being a sales engineer does not mean at all to stay still, right? We're always learning new stuff and learning new ways to enable our customers and enable their buying journey. So with that, I will open up for Q&A if there's any, and I want to bring Mark back so we can take a look at that. I want to take a look at this chat afterwards because I saw so many messages, but I can't keep up with reading all of them while I'm presenting. But I really, really appreciate you being here today, and the QR code actually leads to my LinkedIn. Hey, Mark.
Hey, so on the layout options that you've got at the bottom, you can change that to show both speakers. Currently it's set as just show the person that is speaking. Yes, so we do have some question. We've got a question in the Q&A. We've also got someone asking, could you go back to the book slide? So if you could just go back to the book slide, that would be excellent.
Let me go back. There you go.
Wonderful, wonderful. So someone wanted to take a screenshot of it.
Yes, do take a screenshot. Yeah.
There we go. Excellent. Got you sorted, Karen. The question that came into the Q&A was one from offline, and it was, what would you recommend for someone to grow their professional network?
Well, I think that being active on these communities, for me, that was the best way to grow my my professional network. So to give a little bit of background, I worked most of my career in Latin America, and I moved to Europe in 2018. And I didn't know many people except for the people that worked in my own company. Going to DemoFest the first time really helped me expand my networking, joining the Presales Collective as well, and directly engaging with some people that I wanted to talk to. So, a lot of people in the industry are very open to having conversations. And, you can actually ask peers to do things together. So with two other guys here in Spain, we started like a group for sales engineers in Spain, and we actually became friends, so that's a nice way to expand your networking. So like being part of communities and, actively engaging with people, and, asking questions and having conversations. What I think about the sales engineering community is that people are very open and very friendly. So don't be afraid.
I would definitely agree. Yes, we're all very, very friendly indeed. I mean, you can see this from all the people in DemoFest. So I've got another question, which is really interesting, the way that you put together the ways in which to build a presentation. Obviously, there's the tell, show, tell, some great demo stuff in there as well. What would you recommend for someone that's facing a demo where they know that the customer or the prospect has already seen or is about to see demos from competitors, Personally, I've always felt it's not good to say bad things about other people. But but in your experience, what's your advice for someone that knows that they're going into battle with other players?
I think that I don't like bad mouthing competitors either, Mark, but it all goes back to understanding the customer's need, like what are they looking for, what are the capabilities that they're looking at. And it's okay to ask, like, what capabilities do you expect to see in a product that you're looking for. And customers usually open up and say, well, the most important thing for me is this and that, which I think that in a way gives me an advantage of actually knowing that they already saw something and I can like compete against it. So keeping that information, keeping that conversation with the customer, I think that it gives you some differentiation. Sometimes the customer will open up to you what they don't like about your competition, and then you can actually tell them how you do it better. So I think it relies a lot on the conversation that you're having with the customer. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, we're out of Q&As, but of course people can connect with you. Just if you flick back to the QR code, we then just before we stop sharing the screen, people do take a photo of that, connect, or of course you could just look up Amanda Bertucci on LinkedIn and come and chat with us on the Discord as well. So if you wouldn't mind just stopping sharing your screen, then we will wrap things up.
Stop sharing. There you go. Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah.
No worries. So excellent. So I'd like to remind everybody that there's a DEMOFEST game. Of course, we all have a gamification of things where each session you attend and each session feedback survey you fill out gets you points to win some of our awesome prizes. We're very excited to bring DEMOFEST on the road again. I remember meeting Amanda and many others of you attending DEMOFEST in person at DEMOFEST X, which is our in-person meeting sessions across the world. We had great time in San Francisco in March, and we can't wait to bring the event to Dublin, London, and New York later this year. You can register to join us at any of these events at demofest.com, which is also in the link on the Docs tab to the right of your screen. To find out more about our premier partners of DEMOFEST, stop by our expo hall. Remember, there's no money transferred in the involvement of this event. So all our partners here have gone above and beyond to contribute to making this event a success for all of you. Thank you for joining us for this session from theory to practice, best practices to grow as a professional and to build a successful pre-sales team. And thank you, Amanda, for those valuable insights. Up on the screen are the upcoming sessions. You will automatically be pushed to the next session in the track, and you can switch tracks or sessions by toggling to the agenda tab at the top left of your screen. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Had a great time.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Mark.